Yeah, I really need to clean this room. Looks nice, other than I still got a bunch of tapes to go through, but I got the VCR hooked up, and it's hooked up through Ecamm. Ooh, you might want to know what it is that I'm actually using to get these converted over, because maybe you're like me and you've got VHS tapes that go back like 30 years, 40 years? I mean, technically I found one that was a VHS tape that was probably 20 some years old, but it was from a Super 8 video that was like 50 years old. But in order to get this, inside this, and on the computer, this is the little adapter that you've got. It is an RCA to HDMI converter. RCA cables. I mean, technically it says AV to HDMI, and it's by Tangji? I think that's how you pronounce it. And over here on this side, it says that it can do 720 or 1080p. However, I think there's a limitation based on the input that it actually receives. If it's below 720, the most it'll do is 720, but it won't go up to 1080p because I wound up connecting my RCA cables. Red, white, yellow. And then when I had it plugged into the computer, it wouldn't do 1080p. It gave me a black screen, but as soon as I flipped the little switch over to 720p, it worked. And then my HDMI cable plugs in the end. But you see this? Yeah, I've got the HDMI plugged into a cam link. That's important because you need some way to capture the signal. And at least for me to capture it digitally, I already had the HDMI capture cards from the Camlink 4Ks. And this thing was only like $14, and because I already had the capture card, there was no real point in me getting anything more expensive if this would work, and well, I took a gamble on $14 and it worked. If you don't already have some type of a capture card like a Camlink or another HDMI capture of some sort, what you might want to look into, albeit more expensive, is this thing. It's from Elgato. Because at least that thing will just do it all in one. Plug in from your VCR, plug in USB into your computer, and I believe it's got software, at least from when I had looked at it. I haven't personally used it, but that was the one I was going to use had I not already had the Camlink. And yes, there are cheaper capture devices than even the one I got. You can probably save yourself $3 or $4. However, the reason that I chose the one that I did was because it actually had some good reviews, and I can also attest to the fact that it works. However, if that's even a little bit high on your price budget, what you could do is get a cheaper HDMI capture card and this little adapter that I've got. And while I haven't used these specifically, I do use Ecamm as a software. More about that in a second. But in the Ecamm community on Facebook, this one was recommended for the USB-C, and then this one was kind of recommended by people using it for a USB-A version. And yes, I'll put Amazon affiliate links down in the description below so you guys can click on any of those that you might want. And it sends a little kickback to me. Now, Ecamm is the software that I wind up using to capture this. It's also the software that I use for live streaming. So because I've got it, that's what I'm using. And because it's on a Camlink and I've got two of them, it just winds up popping up right there and it says, hey, this is the Camlink you're using. And then when I hit the play button, something comes through. Now, there is a price that is associated with Ecamm and all of the simplicity it brings. So if you're wanting to keep the price down a little bit, you can also use OBS, which is free. So I've been doing a little bit of that every week, just trying to get some of these VHS tapes gone through and get rid of them once I've actually converted everything. Trying to get through this little stack here of Mr. Mays tapes that were from the school. Hopefully I can find that music video of my grandma in there. And then everything that's underneath there, that's going to wind up being all the stuff that I had from the wrestling days. But it looks like I got 3 boxes of that, and I've still got to figure out how to get the handy cams working. And one little side note that has been kind of fun, going through some of these, it brings back a little bit of that nostalgia and memories of, you know, like watching my younger brother and I at the swimming pool, the old swimming pool in town, or even watching like an old wrestling match that I have no recollection of, but at least it's captured. It's just kind of interesting. It's kind of like when I was flipping through TikTok and somebody said, you know you grew up in the 90s when you heard this sound. And there's like memories associated with visuals, with smells, and with sounds, so when I heard the MASH theme song, it just kind of reminded me of, Friday nights when I was over at my grandpa and grandma Varvis's. Anywho, that's what I've been up to. Thought I'd let you know. And if you know of a better way of capturing these that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, let me know. Maybe it'll speed up my workflow, and maybe it'll help somebody else out. And I guess until next time, stay blessed, enjoy God's best, and have a fantastic week.